It's a short PowerPoint, I promise. So basically, I'm going to be talking about is Jekyll, which is a static page generator. I do have a disclaimer. I am not an expert. I just play one online. So what is Jekyll? Jekyll is just basically a simple static site generator. It's a lot like Rails in the means where you have template directories, and then you kind of it does a lot of the magic for you, so you really don't have to hassle much. So you basically want to use it for any low maintenance sites, any sites that don't have a database, something that you don't have to update on a regular basis. You don't have a ton of people updating it. There are some CMS stuff that you can tie into it, but it's too much of a pain in the ass for what you want to do it. So installing Jekyll is super easy. Gem install Jekyll, Jekyll new, and then your project name, and then Jekyll serve. So it's not a whole lot different from building out a Rails app. I did run into some common issues with Vagrant, and considering that probably most of us are using Vagrant, I figured it would be a good purpose to putting these out. So the first thing I ran into was anytime you run Jekyll and then the command, it would just say command not found. Basically what's happening is that the Ruby environment isn't initializing the Jekyll executable. So you just have to run the eval, this little code here, and then you're good to go. The other thing is Vagrant is set up specifically to forward port 3000 to 3030, and that's how we access the local host. But as far as Jekyll goes, the default is 4000. And then also the default for the host is 127.0.0.1, so it forwards localhost, which doesn't work, so you have to put in all the zeros. And then here's some sites that use Jekyll. Got some links, and I'll just show you them quick. So healthcare.gov, the parts that work. Barack Obama's campaign website was designed with Jekyll. GitHub Pages was designed. Development Seed is a consulting company, and they do a lot of stuff with Jekyll. I think they're a pretty big maintainer of some of the stuff too. And that's that. So I'll just show you some of the websites that use Jekyll. So you can kind of see the power and the capabilities. Very simple. There's not a lot of database. You can hook in search stuff as well. And then this is Barack Obama's campaign website. Again, very simple, but looks good. It's powerful. And of course, this is in my way. So this is CSS Wizardry, which is just another website. Basically, they're just different variations of what you can do with Jekyll, and then the GitHub pages. And there's also on GitHub's or on Jekyll's GitHub and their wiki, they have a ton of other websites that use it with the source code, so you can take a look at how they're designed, which is pretty useful because it can be a pain in the ass to try and figure out learning Markdown language. So I will just do a live demo, see what happens. So I personally just created a folder inside my Vagrant box, and then just called it Jekyll. So as far as getting it installed, just do gem install Jekyll. I already have it installed. Takes a minute. And then just and then all your files will be pre-built just like Rails. It's pretty straightforward. And I'll show you what the code looks like, and then we'll just run it quick too. So to run it, there is a couple of ways, and I covered it, and I'll share my page with how to fix the stuff. But if you want to just go right off the bat and run it, you can. Oops. And that is what it comes like right out the gate. So it's already pre-built for everybody. It makes it really quite simple to use. So some things that you should know is it's very much like Rails in the sense that like in the layouts folder, you'll have your default page. It's a little bit different, but you'll have default pages. It's just going to be your pre-built template. And then includes is more like the layouts folder where you have your header, so you can build everything in there, so you only have to do it once. Same with the footer, same with the head. The head's going to be all your metadata, the header's going to be your navigation, and then the footer is obviously your footer. The big changes though are in config.yml. So this is where you're going to add your site's title, the emails, your data, and then there's a bunch of other settings you can build into the build settings portion of this, which Jekyll's files have tons of them. So if you look at all the stuff you can do. So there's all this stuff, and I don't have time to go over all of it. If you want, we can afterwards. But there's just a bunch of stuff you can add in there, make things a little bit easier, hook a bunch of services up so you don't have to deal with it. But for the most part, that's basically it. I did work on a different one earlier today, so I'll show you that. And that is this is gonna be fun. So this is what I did today. Pretty generic, but you can really kind of build out a lot of stuff. And then I also pushed it to, you can use GitHub Pages to host Jekyll. So I pushed everything there, and I can share that with everybody too if they want to take a look at it for this actual links. I did expand on the common gotchas with Vagrant and explain how to fix a lot of that stuff. So that's about it. So if anybody has questions, feel free to ask.
So I have a question. Does Jekyll support theming, or like do you have to build all the CSS stuff yourself?
There are a ton of themes for it. I built out the CSS just because I wanted to learn it, but it uses Sass, so everything that we've been learning in the course, we basically can just kind of transfer out, and I can show you the code too. So as far as the CSS go, you have your main, which is like all like the media queries, the hard-coded stuff that will be referenced in other ones. You have your base, so all your HTML elements, all that lovely things. And then the layouts is basically where you do all your custom stuff. So, but I'll actually show you what, let's see here. This is what an actual post looks like. So actually that's probably useful. So I can show you how to create one of those. If you want to create a post, you want to do the date. Let's see here. And then the name of whatever your post you want to do, and then it's going to be Markdown. You can use Liquid. I think you can use ERB as well, but the default styling and input is Markdown language, which I have links for useful resources because the original maintainers, I have a horrible website, so I have all that settled for everybody as well.
Cool, good stuff. Does anybody else have any questions? Just jump right in if you have some.
Just to confirm, the cool thing with Jekyll is everything is Ruby, right?
Yeah, everything's Ruby.
Awesome.
So, well, Ruby and Markdown.
Very nice.
Cool.
And you can, there are JavaScript plugins. There's tons of plugins for it. It's very well supported. It's the #1 static page generator. So there's tons of people who work on it. It's just like the Rails community. It's pretty deep.
Cool. Good stuff. Anybody else have any other questions? Cool. So I think we're good. So yeah, cool. Thanks so much, Colin. That's an awesome talk. And it seems like Jekyll's actually really awesome. Like I didn't have any firsthand experience with it, but just watching you with it actually like really learned a lot from it. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's nice to see how easy it is, and like the templating is something you're so used to with Rails.
Yeah. The biggest hurdle was learning Markdown. I think that was the biggest hurdle to deal with it. I spent, I was talking to Ken earlier, I spent like an hour trying to figure out how to get an embedded YouTube video in there, which I will post a how-to of doing that because it's really helpful. But yeah, it's fairly simple. I mean, when I went to that meetup about this, I had a site up and going and modified in less than an hour, which was really nice.
Cool, good stuff.
And it's free. And hosting is free.